Age.
Hello, everyone. I'm just starting my another new episode with Mr. Nicholas, and he is actually English teachers and long time he's working as a language teachers in Asia. He has experience to working in different part of the Asia. Today he gonna share with us about his experience. So hello, Mr. Nicholas, how are you?
Good. How are you today?
Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you. So. Yes, I think, don't worry, you just fix
I'm
your things. Okay, okay.
just one more minute. My son will be taken away. I'm so sorry.
Okay, okay. No problem, no problem, no problem. Basically, I think that he's trying to settle down some of the issues. So we definitely discuss with him, like about the English language and this related activities. So, can you share, introduce yourself with our audience?
Okay. Hello, my name is Nicholas Lukowiak. I'm from Belleville, New Jersey. I studied at the second larger university where I'm from, called Montclair State. I have a dual
Mhm.
degree of philosophy and English. I've been
Mhm.
teaching English as a second language for, I guess, professionally 5 years, and volunteer or extra teaching ability 10 years. I've been teaching
Mhm.
for almost 10 years now.
Okay, why you choose these careers as a teaching language, and can you share the opportunities like how different young peoples from around the world they actually can get some guidelines about English language teachings and the prospect of Asia?
Well, the first part of your question is, how did I get into it? I was in university and I wanted to be a teacher, but I wasn't very sure I wanted to teach in America. So I majored in literature and the teaching program. But eventually I stopped doing the teaching program and just picked up philosophy as my other major. What got me abroad was being lost for 1 year in America, hanging out with other people who were lost themselves. People that are into new age philosophies and people that go to concerts and parties with techno music and house music. And then I just found the advertisement for Indonesia, English first, and I went. I went to Pekanbaru, which is south of Medan, and I didn't know anything about Southeast Asia, any Asian country. I just wanted to go, and that's where it
Mhm.
started. And that's a big resource is online job searches. There's plenty of them. The most famous is Dave's ESL Cafe. There's It's an easy search. Right now, AJARN, Ajarn, is another website that's very good. And there's two types of teachers, unfortunately, which, if I can be open here, is a little bit of prejudice, a little racism. Is native English speakers and non-native English speakers. If you're a non-native English speaker, there's a lot of opportunities still. Um, Bachelors, and especially if you have the specific type of bachelor's, you have a bachelor's of math or science, you can go to Asia and find a job at a school as long as you have some grasp of English or even a great grasp of English. But they're pretty accepting as long as you have an education of math or science or history, something like that. But as far as
Mhm.
native English teacher goes, USA, Canada, UK, Ireland, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, we get the benefit of getting a higher salary more often, as well as more
Mhm.
opportunities because we're more in demand. And that is the truth of teaching English as a second language, is the fact that it's pretty prejudiced, but there's opportunity for everybody because there's such a big market. Right here in Thailand, they want to hire like 2,000 new foreign teachers by government spending. So it's only increasing. It's only more and more demand for and someone with an English degree or literature degree to teach. But you don't just need literature or English. You can have a bachelor's and come right to Thailand and start teaching. You can go to Cambodia right away, Vietnam, which is a bachelor's. Malaysia has higher standards because they have a higher English level curve. So you might need a master's to teach at a high school in Malaysia, but probably could get away with a bachelor's if you try very hard. And don't think about Signal Corps, and that's impossible. One of the best hotspots that people don't talk about in Southeast Asia is Brunei. Brunei is one of the best places for a foreign ESL teacher. They pay very well, benefits are great, and you're in a beautiful tropical coastal country. So that's one of the dream spots. The top spots would be South Korea, China, Japan, because the contracts is very lucrative. They pay for your living conditions, your airfare, your health insurance, and the savings is pretty much yours to do with if you manage your money right. So I think that answers the first part, and the opportunities that are available. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities. Plenty of Indians teaching right here in Thailand with me. Plenty in China teaching math and sciences.
Okay. This is very interesting things like in education industry. But like you are from USA, so why you choose this Asia Pacific markets? What's the reason behind that? And do you face any of the cultural issues or challenges or environmental issues? What's your idea? What's your experience?
That's a big question. Why I choose Asia? Well, the same reason most people choose Asia, because there is a financial saving factor. It is much cheaper to live your day-to-day life here in Thailand. My rent right now is 115 US dollars, and maybe I spend 300 to 400 a month on food. And there's 3 of us. There's 2 adults and a baby. This is very cheap. I come from New Jersey, USA. The average cost of living for 1 year in New Jersey, USA is about 35,000 US dollars for one person to live alone. That's one person, 1 year alone with no extra, just what they need as a car, insurance, utilities, rent. That's the average. So my average right now is much lower than that. And I could still do a lot of things online, my own personal hobbies, things I'm interested in, and not waste money not working like people do in the US. Tell me what was the next part of that question. Why
Yes.
Asia?
No,
Sorry.
yes,
Asia.
exactly.
Why Asia? I'm not going to lie. I went to school for philosophy, and I did enjoy the Chinese, the yogas, as a principle, as a general thing. But as I get here, it's just like anywhere else. Religion's just a thing people do. Do they really believe in it that much? Do they study it? Do they learn? Not really. They just say they're Buddhist. They say they're Muslim. They go on their way. Do the things they should or shouldn't do. So it's generally an accepting place, happy place, and I get the best treatment being a blue-eyed, white Westerner, that speaks English, and it's true. And one story, for instance, was when I was in Indonesia. I walk into a cafe and they have live music playing, and I go from the door to my table. From the period I went from the door and walked past a bar making coffee and sat down at the table, the music had stopped and the entire cafe was staring at me. And I thought I did something wrong, but I was just one of the first white people some of them actually saw. And this is Pekanbaru. There's 40 million people in there, but there's probably only maybe 2,000 foreigners at a time. Yeah. So it was a culture shock. I don't know if it's a culture shock. It's just shocking for people to react to you that way for something so arbitrary as your skin color. And it's ironic because I come from America. Though we have this whole demographic issue. And I get the positive of that racism. People treat me very well because of that. And at first, I didn't like it at all, but I had to get used to it because it's also part of your job as a native English speaker. They want you at their school so you could take a picture with the kids and take a picture with the other staff and do the English camp and invite other people to use you as advertisement for their schools. And this is a big part of it. You better be ready to be a little bit of a clown to be a foreign English
speaker. Okay, this is interesting.
It's more important that they have a native English speaker. Sorry, it's more important they have a native English speaker than an English teacher.
I understand. Basically, I cannot see you properly. Anyway, can you see me properly? That from my side. Anyway, so
you're a little blurry, but I see.
Okay. My specific question is that as you are professional in English language teaching, so what's your actually way of teaching? How you teach your students, or is there any unique way you are teaching your students, or any unique approach you have?
Oh yes. So I learned pretty quickly that most Asian languages don't rely on articles as much as English does. Is, are, were, was, these things not very useful for these cultures and traditional languages. So what I end up doing right now, I'm teaching kindergarten. Very common sentence would just be the boy holds a ball. But now you have to explain why boy holds a ball, but I hold a ball. Because they're confused why it changed. Because it would be the same exact thing in their language. It would be they hold a ball or they hold ball. So I teach that. I teach he hold ball. Why? Because that article is just it's not consistent in their logic of language or their use of language. So, and it doesn't click why it's essential. It's essential as you learn more advanced English. But if you just want to get the general idea, object, subjects, the value of a verb and a noun, you could just break it down. Boy, go mall. Yesterday, boy, go mall. Next week, I go mall. You understood exactly what I meant. You understood the sequence of the words. You understood me as the subject, the verb, the activity, and when. This way, when they meet another person from another nearby country, they don't need to start speaking Bahasa Malay. They could start speaking the little English they can use to do what they need to do. Be a tourist, or find a bathroom, or start to live there. Because now they have a small grasp of the sequence of English. It might sound weird, it might sound broken to a native English speaker, but it would be the best way for them to communicate with their own people in English and their neighbors in English. Because when you go to Malaysia, the businessmen are not speaking Bahasa or Chinese or Hindi or Tamil. They're speaking together in English. So the common person can't compete. They lack the education. But the average Cambridge curriculum has people starting off when they're a child at beginner learning colors, red, food, carrots, animals, dog. How many times have you walked up to someone in your life and asked, hey, what's your favorite color? That's like the first thing you did. When was the last time you asked it to somebody? Or, oh, I love dogs. I love to eat chicken. No, we don't talk like this. Our Cambridge curriculum is so outdated. So two things I always apply to education. ELF, English, lingua Franca. I'm sorry. I don't actually ever get a chance to talk to people about it, but it's something I read about. I'm interested. The idea is that what I talked about before, you're changing English to adapt to their language and how their language is constructed so that they can learn English in a beginner logical sense. Okay. For example, Chinese language is so dependent on tone. If you say the same word in a different tone 6 times, it's a different word. It doesn't change the word in English. It could change the intention. It could change how they feel about the word, but it never actually changes the word. So again, a disconnect that they have. Also in Mandarin and Chinese in general, verbs are nouns mostly. Okay, so normalize would be normacy. Okay, the same idea that something is gonna be normal is already normal in Chinese, and that's a big difference. And the second thing I do is teach the English that you'll actually use. And the biggest things you actually use is survival English and mostly verbs. I would say is the first step to learning English. One quick example. I teach my students the first lesson is don't do that. And then I'll teach them words like bite, kick, lick, hit. Don't do that. Every time I would pretend to hit something or lick something or kick something, they all say, don't do that. Now the next phase would be don't kick that. Don't lick that. Don't bite that. Now, that actually might be something you say to a stranger on the street. It's like, oh, don't bite that. Don't bite that. Don't hit that. Don't hit that. That could actually help society. That could actually help people when someone knows that little English helps someone that doesn't speak their language. So that's how I approach it. I approach the things that we're going to use every day or help other people every day or what they're actually going to think to do every day, like play phone. Fine, teach them that. I play phone. I like phone. It's okay. You don't have to, again, teach the full thing. I like to play on the phone. It's madness. They're 3-4 years old and they're learning a second language for the first time. And excuse me, but child rhymes, the wheels on the bus go. These actually don't teach much. It teaches them to enjoy saying words. It teaches them to be attached to the lesson and the teacher because it's nice. But no one talks like that. No one goes up to each other and says, hey, row, row, row my boat. Or 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. Actually, that's one of my favorites, but it's just not how we talk. But we do say, call the doctor. Doctor said. That's great. That stuff, that type of song would be great. Mostly, and I'm finished now, it's to teach them everyday English and teach them in the way that their language kind of already exists. The linguistics of their language, how they form, try to teach it that way. And nialai, it means this, what? Obviously, the translation is, what's this? Nialai. So I taught them what, I taught them this, and that's it. What this, what this, what this. Sometimes I'll say, what's this? And they'll repeat that, and that's good. But I don't make them say, what is this? What is this? It's confusing. What this? What that? What? Why that? Why this? That's my approach.
Like interestingly,
every day.
Yes. Like in Asia, actually, like there are like education system, as I know that it's more focused on grammar, more focused on like pronunciations, more focused on like how they can pronounce like a American person or a British person. What's your observations? What do you want to say on that particular point?
Racist. It's racist. It's racist. Bottom line, it's saying that my way of speaking English from being in America, English settlement, being this English-Spanish war, and they won, and the Bible being written in English and all this, It's just a winning language, but it doesn't make it the only way to speak the language. Just because some academic in Cambridge says this is proper English doesn't mean it's helpful English or it's going to save someone's life. Most of these kids are afraid to speak because they make so many mistakes learning Cambridge curriculum. Oh, I made that grammar, this comma, this. It's ridiculous. They're not going to be academic writers. They just need enough to get by, travel, see the world, start a small business. You don't need to know advanced English to do most of that in America. You don't need to know the rules of grammar or any of that stuff to function in America. You just need to speak and live in America. It's racist. It's racist to say that you should speak like a British person or American person. And when Americans say it, it's just them because they can't speak another language. And that's a part of our cultural problem. Because World War II, the second language in America was German, and the third was Italian. But what happened was Mussolini and Hitler were bad guys, so those parents said, can't speak those languages, can't teach. Grandmas are speaking Italian while the grandkids don't know a word of Italian. It's normal. We abandoned that because our immigrants came from the enemy at those times, the enemy. So yeah, it's racist. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that Cambridge is the #1 curriculum in the world. It's horrible. It could be so much better. And they're just going to laugh at me. Say, who are you? You're some ESL teacher you've been Thai 5 years. But I've gotten more results in a week with these kids than their last teacher got in a year. And I can tell.
Okay.
Because now they don't need another teacher to tell them what to do. I could tell them what to do. Because it's simple.
Okay, this is very... Yes. There is an audience response. Humaira Tanzila, she said, "Hello, Nicholas. What education background is required to become an international English teachers? Like, I think she want to build up her career in international language and these things. What's your?
Is she listening right now?
Yes.
Okay. First, where are you from?
Okay.
That's #1 question when people ask me.
She's from Asia. I can understand that she's from Asia.
Tanzania. Okay. International English teacher, you definitely need to have the TOEFL certificate. It's one of the highest standards, and of course, it's Cambridge type academic test. This is just only going to tell them that you qualify for going to education abroad. But mostly, if you are Asian and you want to teach English, they want you to have an English degree, definitely. Okay, so literature degree, something revolving around teaching the English language. Okay, then you're qualified as a non-native English teacher. A lot of teachers from the Philippines come here, technically not native, but people have known now culturally they're stronger at English than the average Southeast Asian. So they're taking more jobs, even South Korea, Thailand, and that's great. So, but they need that English education prereq. Other than that, look online for jobs.
One of the specific things when you're working as a teacher, you need a really good relationship with your students. So you from different cultures, how you make relationship with your students, and what's the good experience you have, you want to share with us?
It's two-part. One, I have a unique factor to them. They don't see my face very often, or maybe for the first time they're seeing my face. Where I am in Thailand anyways. If you're in Bangkok, they probably had 2 dozen foreign English teachers. But I'm in South Thailand, Satun, right near the border of Malaysia. And it's mostly fishermen and farmers as the general population occupation. So yeah, I have that wow factor. Wow, foreign teacher, amazing. So they give me that much, and so do the other teaching staff. To be very honest with you, I get away with a little bit more because of it. How I get down to their level is that I physically get down to their level. They're sitting down on the floor, I sit down on the floor unless I'm trying to teach. I'm doing something silly, they could do something silly. But when I'm done doing something silly, they're done doing something silly. It's all by leading by example. And I'm trying to create an immersive environment. I walk around the class, I touch things. When I'm doing something wrong, they are taught to say, don't do that. And it keeps them engaged with me at all time. And then they can tell me, oh, okay, teacher, okay, you can do that. I'm sorry I even said it like that, because that's the way I hear it all the time. I didn't mean it in any other way. I hear it that way. Yeah, I get down on their level, and I have a wow factor.
Okay, one specific things I just want to know. Let's say you are working in Asia Pacific. So every country has a different culture, different language, different education systems, and they have different aspect as well. Some of them from different background, different cultures. Many things is different. So in that particular situation, why you think that still English is a very important and essential for them? What the reasons and what's the benefit for the local community to if they can communicate English properly, and how they getting more benefit when they like learn English properly, or they can communicate English with the other international community? How you want to explain the benefits?
Let's start with this demographic right here, Satoon. Satoon is mostly, again, fisher farming. But Thailand is doing very well successfully. The local real estate is rising. They do need to encourage their kids to go to university more now than ever before. And I was here when coronavirus started locking down countries. And that was summertime for Southeast Asia to finish school for 2 months. I saw the wave of college students returning from the next nearest city called Hat Yai back to Satoon. They're coming back from university anywhere all over Thailand in their cars. Their parents probably paid for them, going right back home to stay on the lockdown with their families. So yeah, they needed that. Half of them definitely got a better school or more scholarship for having English. In fact, Thailand has two situations. One situation, if you speak, let's say, fluent English and you're a child and you grow up, you don't have to go to university. You could go to Krabi, Phuket, Chiang Mai, Bangkok, the tourist places, and find a nice job very easily just on your English skill and merit alone and the fact you speak Thai. This is true. The second option is that they got into school for cheap or nearly free for being fluent at English or very good at English. They get scholarship merits just for speaking English in a country like this. I don't know if that's all over Southeast Asia. But as I explained before, what it helps the common person, well, I'm not teaching common person, I'm teaching children and students. They aren't necessarily common. But at the same time, they benefit from even going home, maybe teaching their parents a few phrases. The next time they go to Malaysia, they could say a few phrases and maybe get something from it. As where before, they have to pray that that Malaysian speaks Thai. And that's just not clicking. These cultures also are pretty, and they like to have their identity. They enjoy to keep it pretty much inside and keep it unique. Even though Indonesia and Malaysia share this common language, you wouldn't think they ever did, because their cultures are like trying to be so unique. Like, no, I am Malaysian. No, I am Indonesian. It's like, I am from Singapore. It's like, but in reality, it's like you're mixed with Indians and Chinese and native islanders for the past 2,000 years, 3,000 years. You know, there's statues of Indian gods in Jakarta. There's statues, and the dress, the fancy dress for the fancy dances in Thailand are Indian inspired. Malaysia, you know, it's the food, you can tell, and the people, the way they look, you know, and mix of Chinese and islanders and natives. So you're all really much closer than you think, in a way, as an objective opinion from being an outsider looking in. I could see that the family bonds are much closer. I can see that food isn't a thing about money. If someone's hungry on the street, someone's definitely going to give them food at some time of the day. There's no question. They are on the street because they chose to not listen to their family's demands, or they weren't working hard enough, or they did drugs and their family rejected them. In a few rare situations, I can imagine being an LGBTQ member and being kicked out of the house too. But besides that, there's no homeless problem. There's a drug problem, just like anywhere else in the world. It's in Thailand and Southeast Asia. But generally, Buddhists and Muslims get along well. And there's just a few problems with Christian groups in Indonesia. Just the religion here is also a factor. They identify strongly as religion right after nationality. But mostly they get along. There's no issue. I never had an issue. No one ever came up to me and said, "You're not Christian? You're not Muslim? What are you doing? What's wrong with you?" But to be fair, when I'm in a situation in like Indonesia where it's illegal for two people that do not share the same religion, so a Christian cannot marry a Muslim can't marry a Buddhist inside Indonesia. That's the law. So someone has to change their religion. At that point, I tell people I'm Buddhist, just because I know the most about that religion, and I don't want to call myself Catholic, even though I was raised a Catholic. So yeah, I think that answered a lot of your question, but that's a tough question. How are the different languages and the different cultures, and when I go there and teach them, how does it change the way I teach them? It's tough. It's definitely something to get used to. But my biggest experience now is China and Thailand mostly. So I got used to those two.
I just want to know from you, like how you want to explain the education system in Asia Pacific. Let's say you are focused on China and Thailand. So how you want to explain their education system, their quality of education, and what the possible way we can improve or we can develop something.
The ASEAN Alliance for Education and English Education of all Southeast Asia. Nice. It's a nice idea, but I imagine most of that money just falls off the boat somewhere, because for that amount of processing and work, I imagine every kid in Southeast Asia should have an English book at home from one time they visited school. But I guess books would definitely show you where they lack the most in Southeast Asia, because are they going to buy Cambridge books for their school? Are they going to use the official Cambridge curriculum? No, but who's the biggest supplier of education books in the world? Yes. But maybe not the books themselves, but the curriculums and the lesson plans that the teachers use. So I guess books definitely hit home. I've also spent a lot of time in India, at least 2 months. And I was in smaller villages, and I would say it's not too far away, because they have a classroom, just papers, chalkboard, and they're taking their test, and probably even learning computer programming like that. As amazing as that sounds. So I am in a classroom of kindergarten. I just have a chalkboard. There's no projector. There's no whiteboard. There's no even marker board. I have to print my pictures, make flashcards, get hands-on, so I guess funding for resources, computers, tablets, that needs to pick up, because they're so cheap. To not have tablets in almost every hands of every student in Southeast Asia, it proves that the Asian, however you pronounce it, isn't doing what they should be doing. Because a tablet's cheap. The cheapest tablet I can see right now in Thailand is $40 US, $50 US. And that's not affordable. It's not people's iPhones. I see plenty of Southeast Asians with iPhones, brand new Androids. How are they affording $900 US, $1,000 US payment plans 2 years, 3 years of payment plan to pay off an iPhone. And that's not localized. That's a lot of Southeast Asian people now. You would do that for an iPhone, but you would do that for a tablet for every child in Southeast. It's not just them, though. It is the United States curriculum, too. They keep updating textbooks, paper books. One book costs $60, $80. $80 for every student that our taxpayers pay for. But that's millions of students. It's millions of textbooks. Just to be outdated in a few years. A tablet is a one-time purchase and can be used for 2 or 3 years, depending on how you treat it. So it's not just localized to Southeast Asia, the lack of technology in education. And China doesn't really use it either. They have projectors and smart boards that can do programming when you touch it. But they're just using it to show YouTube and videos and slideshows and PowerPoint. So they're not even using their great technology in their classrooms. They're not using it efficiently, and they have it. So I think it must be. I can only imagine just what less people would do with the advantages a Chinese person has as an education. Yeah, and that's my field, though, education. That's where I could talk from, as far as that goes. And yeah, technology in a classroom is minimal, if sometimes non-existent. My cell phone is the smartest thing in the room sometimes.
Okay, this is very interesting. As you working with the even Chinese community, China is a billions of peoples, and many people try to learn English language. How you want to explain their experience and the huge amount of people they have, and they are hiring many foreign people. How you want to explain that?
So two perspectives on that. One is the Southeast and other Asian perspective. They see China as pretty much knowing English already, that they're educated, that they're smart. They know business, they know English, they're going to run the world. And it's kind of true. Definitely like someone like the Alibaba owner, Jack Ma, not only does he speak English, I'm sure everybody underneath him for the next 3 secretaries, the next 3 delegates, probably speak a good amount of English. I'm sorry. So the wealth is an established thing with speaking English in China as well. Yeah. Also, but as American, we would think they don't speak English. They don't know speak English. So both of them are true. It's not a good curve. I would say on average, if there was a percentage, Malaysians on percentage speak more English than Chinese on percentage. But there's just so many. You can't teach all the villagers a second language. They're having trouble keeping Mandarin as a national language. That's tough. Making sure everyone speaks Mandarin. Everyone reads and writes the same in China. It doesn't matter the dialects. This is what's different than India. China, everyone pretty much can write Mandarin. Chinese. Even Japanese mostly use traditional Chinese characters. But speaking, it's totally different. Whereas you go to India, they're speaking and writing different languages. So if you look at Indian money, they have each of the major Indian languages on the money, and it's covered. It's just covered in money. Covered in little phrases of each of the languages. I can only imagine teaching in some of those places. China benefits most from them allowing more and more Western media, movies, TV shows, apps. We have Netflix in America, very common. But the average thing is, I don't know, $10 a month to watch movies on like Netflix or Hulu. China, it's $1 a month, $2 a month. And you watch as many as you want. Movies that just came out. They don't have copyright laws. So when you join one of them, you watch the movies they have. No copyright laws. But they're getting more and more interested in more movies. I guess I trailed off, but one important point for Chinese learning English is they're kind of just as shy as any other Asian country I've been to. There's a lack of confidence in speaking. They could read and write pretty well because they've been like tested, drill. But when it comes to speaking and the confidence to speak, they're just the same as pretty much everyone. That's the biggest challenge as being an ESL teacher, is giving them the confidence to speak. And I would tell anyone, it's like, that's really mostly what I do. I don't really teach that much English. I'm getting them comfortable teaching English, especially the younger they are. I've taught adults too. And adults have a confidence problem, but once they realize, hey, I'm an adult now, I don't have time to not be confident, they're better students overall, adults. I prefer to teach adults than children any day, but that takes more effort on my part to find those jobs when it's pretty easy to find a teaching job at a small school in most places like this in Thailand.
Okay.
Yeah, but China's English curve. Oh, interesting point about that. They say that China has the most English speakers in the world, but just like the definition of literacy, the definition of knowing another language is just reading and writing one sentence. It's not a high or whatever type of curve. Just to say you can read and write, you just need to do it one time. It's not the same. So China doesn't really have an outstanding English rate. They have an average curve. Indonesia would probably have about the same curve as China, I would say. About the same. But Malaysia, great. Singapore, obviously, it's not there. Philippines, right there with Malaysia, maybe a little bit better.
One of the interesting things, I just want to go outside the box. As you are a language teacher, so let's say you work in China, you work in India, and you said that the Chinese people, they are very smart in business, as well as this is very good economy. Even India also very good economy. What do you think in futures, like international community, let's say from USA, from Europe, and many other English-speaking countries, they have to learn Chinese language and Indian language or different Asian language for doing business? What do you think?
It's what they want to do. They want to go to China. For example, right now, Chinese wine. I was in China and I was hanging out with someone who was importing and selling wine. It's a very new thing there. Wine isn't their culture at all. The Europeans, everyone is trying to push more and more wine into the Chinese market. Why? I wonder why. 1 billion people? It's a nice economy to get into. You want to get into that nice economy? Better learn Mandarin. Why? Because you're going to do business there. You're going to keep relying on other people to do business for you? No, that costs money. It takes time. It would take less time for you to sit down, get the hook on phonics or whatever pay for your English program, so you're more persuaded, more pushing yourself to do it. Don't do a free language. Pay for your language program. Pay a private teacher, whatever. Just do it. You have to pay because it pushes you as a person to do it because you already paid the money. You got to do it now. You have to learn Chinese. If you want to go to India, same thing. But India has the advantage of you might likely be with more educated people that speak a better quality of English. You don't need to learn Hindi, but all of India doesn't speak Hindi. All of India can't read Hindi. So you're going to have to learn more languages if you want to take away that cost. And then that's a lot of time. Because it would be just as profitable to probably learn Tamil. Am I saying right? Tamil? It would probably be just as beneficial to learn that as Hindi, because they both have very strong speaking people, economy areas, business, Chennai, Delhi. You could do good with either, but they both speak English. So there's really low pressure to go to India and learn their native language. But although I have learned that the average Indian person could speak maybe 2 or 3 local little languages, like tribal languages. It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon the average Indian knows 4 or 5 languages. That's amazing. I can't. And you can't ask other people to do that. And if you want to do business there, it's tough for you to do business if you're telling them, you've got to learn our language because you're speaking English, but they're speaking English. I'm sorry. And it's too many different languages. That's the big problem. Too many different languages. At least Chinese, you could write down the same character and word, and everyone could read it. That's a big difference. But yeah, I guess for the future, you know what? It's amazing because even Japan has people learning Japanese to do business there. I don't see the point of that, but they do because they want to be there. They want to do big business there.
One thing I just want to know from you, beside language, like what the present situation in Thailand in COVID-19 and how you find the situation, how they tackle these things, and what the experience you want to share with us about this COVID situations and these things.
Say again. Like
I
try to
I just
ask me
yes.
in a different way, please, because that's a tough way to answer. Going that way
Mhm,
for me. Ask me
mhm,
another way. I'll think about it. You mean like a personal type thing? Like what I take personally from being here, living here, staying here as a foreigner?
yes, yes,
Something like
yes, 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 yes.
I mean, this is why I feel kind of more comfortable here because I probably know more history about like Chinese religion, Buddhism, or even some yogas and history of Hinduism than the average person does in India or China because I really care about those topics and those philosophies and that original thinking.
Mhm,
And I come here and I carry too much with me. You know,
mhm,
I came here expecting this other world where people somehow actually thought about their religions and their philosophies. But that's simply just, and I by carrying that impression with me and then getting here to the top of the mountain, the other side of the fence, I realized I was just carrying things with me that weren't actually here. In reality, people are people. People are distracted by movies, they like to read, music, they want to go to a club or dance, they want to go to a beach, they want to travel. People are people. Okay, religion doesn't define people anymore. Culture definitely defines people more than religion. And I learned that more than anything because well, there are a lot of atheists in America that are culturally not the nicest people sometimes because American culture is very selfish in a lot of ways. Just a little minor examples. Going to a restaurant, your dish is your dish, period. You could share a little bit, or there are sharing dishes, but generally, I bought something, it's mine. We go to a bar, this drink, it's my drink. I'll buy you a drink. You're my friend. Hey, you're my guest. I'll buy you a drink. Here, we share a bottle. We give each other our glasses. We say cheers. I know that sounds weird with the whole coronavirus thing right now, but in a way that keeps the germs constantly being fought from your body. Your immune system is even a little bit better from that way. But just that little example of food, something we do 3, 4 times a day, is so different between these cultures. The culture I was raised in America, copying British, European standards, and here, where they're generally Asian, you know, the idea of these few cultures mixing and matching each other over time, especially Southeast Asia and the Himalayas with Tibet, you know, and it's all here. You know, original Islam is here more than in the Middle East. You know, those guys, those academics, they threw away a lot of their values for oil. You know, yeah, Saudi Arabia is the Mecca. So you're the standard. And you know what? In the Islam world, Saudi Arabia is not the best standard. It's not. A place like Malaysia is or Indonesia. The amount of violence towards Christians can probably be written in a very small book for Indonesians. And it's dominantly like 80% Muslims, 75% Muslim. But they don't have a problem with other religions and people. They don't, there's no bomb blowing up now. So I feel that I have been wrong, and I lived wrong, and a lot of people live wrong. Even here, I think sometimes they live wrong. They can use some of the Western adaptations, but there is no right way. But I think a lot of the wrong way I was thinking came from my culture. I need to go to university after high school. I need to go into debt. I need to get a 9-to-5 job. I need to do all these things. I need to spend this much on insurance, this much on a car. I need to do that to be an adult. I need to do that to be a productive member of society. Why? Because someone else did it? Because that's what everyone's always done? That's culture. And telling people to keep doing it is just more culture. Because it's normal. It's normal to do that. But it's not. It's not normal. You make your own life. You choose what you want. And I couldn't choose to live at a minimal life in the USA. It's impossible. I have to work. Even if you live with your parents, you have to work. You have to help your parents because it's expensive. And it's getting more expensive. I can't relax. And I want to relax. I want a vacation. I want to enjoy my life that I have it. I'll always work. I don't plan on retiring. Retiring doesn't make sense. Work until you die, but enjoy working. Enjoy your life. It's okay. There's no problem working as long as you're enjoying it. You're making some money and you're seeing things. And especially in my privileged situation of being a white American with blue eyes, I am literally profiting from my born random features. And I know that. And so I profit better. And I live more comfortably knowing what I have and don't have and what I can have more of by doing what I'm doing. And free time is priceless. I'm watching my child grow. My father worked 16 hours a day for, 10 years, 12 years of my life. I would wake up. I would see my father sit down on the toilet with the door open, say good morning, and then he would be gone. And I won't see him until he gets back when I'm about to go to bed. So he can sleep and do it again for the next 9 years. And there's a famous American song called Cats in the Cradle. And that's exactly what I had as a child. Hardworking parent, never saw them, doing everything they can to give us whatever we want, except a father, except someone there to grow up. And I want that, and I can do that. I don't have to be at work 9-10 hours a day while my kid's at home. Although I'm a teacher, granted, and I would be at school when he's at school. And that would probably be the best situation for me wanting to watch my son grow. At the same time, just work, filling out the paperwork, the curriculums, the meetings, the politics. The American teachers have it rough. They need to make more money for America, in America. For America, they need more.
Okay,
But yeah,
this is
I took away more, and I lost.
uh, this is very interesting discussions about the North American cultures and the Asian cultures. Besides that, like, what do you think? I do not want to say that which culture is good, what is bad, but in terms of like cultural activities and other things, how do you want to like analyze the Asian culture? Because we are very much family oriented. We are very much, yes, we are very much trying to share our views and our everything with peoples. What do you think? Is it good in present world, or it's not good at all? What's your analysis like? If you
Everyone
want
has
to. Mhm.
everyone has good and bad qualities, of course. There's good and bad qualities for everywhere I've been. I'm in Thailand. I'll tell you those. In Thailand, I think it's almost too much relaxing. They're very relaxed. There's no stress or worries here. I'll see you soon is 30, 40 minutes. I'll see you later is, a few hours. There's no problem. No one's upset that they came 3 hours or 4 hours. They came. That's great. They're here now. Let's have a good time. I don't like it too much. I'm a little bit more of a forward thinker, more of a worry. A little bit. I've been able to be a little bit successful because I saved most of my money. I was very frugal, careful with spending my money. I've traveled. I've seen maybe 10 countries in the past 5 years, but I save. Even here in Thailand, I'll save half of my salary because I know I could use that later for something I might need or an emergency or to travel more or to go on a vacation. Just spending it every day. They get their little salary. They go have a drink with their friends. They take their little salary. They put the little bit in this cup for their phone, a little bit in this cup for their car, a little bit in this cup for their motorcycle, a little bit in this cup for their house. And then whatever is left over at the end of the day, they go and have a drink or a nice meal with a friend. And that's it. That's life. No problem. I'll pay the car in the future. No problem. I don't like that. But I do get jealous on being happy for no good reason at all. That's tough for me. I don't know about a lot of people, but that's tough for me to just get happy for nothing. And that just seems to be a thing that can happen in Thailand. And India, they do have that community still. And man, do I enjoy food there. And even though the people know they need to improve a lot and there's garbage everywhere and all that, they're optimistic because they know they have brains in their country and their culture. They know they at least inspire as Hindus and Muslim, just that culture of India, the spirit, they're producing geniuses. And the biggest tragedy is that most of them leave because they learned better English. They went to Europe, America, Canada, and they migrated away. And that's probably one of the biggest issues. Not even like the sanitary issue. The fact that their smartest people are leaving that can find solutions for those things. And instead of paying them good money, the politicians pocket more money, of course. I don't want to get too political. We're talking culture, but India has the spirit of a scientist. They have the heart of a scientist. It's just being pushed down by disorganization more than anything else. They culturally can't organize because there's just no way that should happen. It should be 5, 6, 7 different countries instead of it's a continent. The 1.5 million people that want democracy, it doesn't work. I'm sorry. 1.5 million people trying to vote, unless there's like an instant app voting system and your phone is your ID and your driver's license, which is already a centralized system, which is already pretty much socialist at that point. I don't see India doing that well with the idea of voting in different politicians to represent 1 billion people. You need those scientists' hearts as the leaders. Make them a part-time dictator by a republic of opinion. I don't know. Because the reason I say this, because you go right over those mountains to China, they have succeeded from this wildly communist, oligarchical group of people running the show. The leaders of China own China. The top families of China own the top corporations, and they make the votes behind closed doors on how it continues to be ran. And apparently, they actually give a fuck about how Chinese live because their quality of life is only going up and up. Meanwhile, India, the quality of life has been declining because their leaders don't give a shit. They just think they're voting, but they're not. And I know a lot of Indians hate me for thinking this, but I can't help it because the results speak for themselves. Mass organization of people, of that many people, helps. It
Mhm.
should be more transparent. It should be more open, more humanitarian. I can't deny the evils of China. I'm not doing that. I'm talking about how to manage a billion people, and India's not doing it right. What I liked most about Chinese culture is that they recognize that. They know their statistics. They know how many children get abandoned every year. They know how many people get cancer every year. They know how much pollution is outside that day, at least what's being told to them. But they also understand how pollution has been getting worse. They understand the statistics that matter to a billion people, the big numbers. How many people are getting married or not married this year? How many people are dying? Is Social Security at a good balance? They actually know those things. A common person learns about those things in China. They're told those things. And that's interesting because even though they know they're controlled by those people, they also have a general sense of Chinese. They, they're still their countrymen. They've been through so much shit together. They identify as Chinese now. They were successful, the Communist Party. They made a billion people feel unified as being Chinese. And it benefited them. It helped them. All the evil, all the bad things they did, just like everywhere else. But the end result is supreme. 100 cities with 1 million people. 100 cities with 1 million people. Just think about that. Indonesia's 400 million people. Malaysia, 200?
32 million.
No.
32.
What's the
Yes.
population of Malaysia?
32 million people.
I forget. I'm sorry.
32 million.
No, Indonesia's 400 million, yes. And Philippines is 100 million. Okay, so just two countries, Southeast Asia is 500 million. The Chinese government over time, yeah, 20 million in Malaysia. Okay, so China has nearly three. Sorry. Delay. So China has 3 times as many people as those 3 countries. And while one of those countries, let's say the population of Indonesia, is peasant, low-class farmers still, the other working is in cities, making money, middle class, rising, upper class. 2 parts. 1, more education. 2, the government buying people's lands, buying their houses for more than they're worth. The government did a lot. So Americans will appreciate this analogy. I don't know how many other people. In America, there's a show called That 70s Show. In That 70s Show, you see a bunch of teenagers sitting in a basement hanging out. They are excited about Star Wars and getting their first car.
Mhm. Hello, Mr. Nicholas. I think he has some internet-related issues. So basically, Mr. Nicholas trying to give some of our guidelines on like language, some of the guideline on like how language can help us. Most importantly, the Asian cultures, how he adapt with the Asian cultures, how we integrated with the Asian cultures, and many of the interesting things. So hopefully, with Mr. Nicholas, we gonna invite him in our board for English language purpose. And if you have any kind of questions for him, you can send us email on wteforum2020@gmail.com. So definitely we gonna respond you. And any of the interesting guests, any of the guests, those who are interested to join with World Talent Economy Forums and share your views, your experience, and everything, definitely we gonna invite you, and hopefully you will enjoy our session. Thank you for your time, and thank you, Mr. Nicholas. And he sent me a message that I think he lost his service, his internet service. So thank you, Mr. Nick, for your valuable time, and thank you, dear audience. Audience, and hopefully you will learn English language properly. You will explore around the world, and you can win your business and more lot of activities with your communication and with your dynamic activities. Thank you, our audience. Thank you for your valuable time.